Picture this, a remote village called Bhairavpur, where the streets go completely silent after dark. And at the edge of town, there's this old, crumbling mansion, a haveli, that absolutely nobody dares to go near. They say you can hear things coming from inside, the sounds of someone or something that you can't see. Tonight, we're going to deconstruct that story and figure out why.
This right here. This is the warning. It was found scrawled in what looked like blood, and it's the line that really kicked off the village's terror. It means it's impossible to escape the Ahat. So the big question is, what exactly is the Ahat?
Our story really gets started with a classic setup, a dare. We're in the village of Bhairavpur, a place that feels pretty desolate, and everyone's attention is kind of fixated on this one abandoned haveli, a place with a serious reputation for being haunted. At the very heart of this whole thing is one word, Ahat. Now, its literal meaning is pretty simple. It just means a faint sound, like footsteps. But in Bhairavpur, that word means something way, way more sinister. It's a presence you can hear but can never, ever see, and it's always getting closer. So, a young woman named Reena, who's just visiting, is pretty vocal about not believing in ghosts. Naturally, her friends decide to call her bluff. They dare her to go into the haunted haveli alone, and she actually accepts, stepping right into the darkness with nothing but a flashlight. So she's inside, and her flashlight is throwing these long, creepy shadows all over the decaying walls. And then she just freezes. On the wall, she sees a second shadow, and it's moving, but she isn't. She calls out, "Who's there?" and gets nothing but silence. Then she hears it, that slow, deliberate sound of footsteps, the hat. She gets out of there fast. Now, her friends just laugh it off, thinking it was probably a prank or her imagination. But Ria's terrifying encounter, that was just the beginning. Pretty soon, whatever was in that haveli decided not to stay there anymore, and the Aha started to stalk the entire village. And what's really unsettling is how this thing shows up. It's different for everyone. Raghu the barber gets confronted by this white figure with glowing green eyes. A couple, Savitra and Mohan, see their lamp just go out on its own, and then a message appears in blood. Anirudh, the teacher who doesn't believe in any of this, hears a terrifying whisper right in his ear. Even the local bus driver, Amar, sees a ghostly passenger on his totally empty bus late one night. The Aha was literally everywhere and for everyone. With the whole village of Bhairavpur gripped by fear, the local police have no choice but to step in. And this is where our story shifts, from just being scared to actively trying to figure out what is going on. So they send in DCP Arvind. He's a by-the-book kind of guy, a total skeptic, who thinks this whole thing is just mass hysteria. He's convinced there's a perfectly logical explanation. But the villagers, they know what they've experienced. They've all heard the Ahat. To prove his point, Arvind decides he's going to investigate the haveli himself. At night, alone. As he's walking through these silent, dusty halls, he hears it too, heavy footsteps. He calls out, sweeps his flashlight around, nothing. And then he feels this ice-cold hand grab his shoulder. He spins around, and there's nobody there. And right then and there, all of Arvind's skepticism just shatters, because a voice as clear as day whispers right into his ear, "If you want the truth, go down to the cellar." So this isn't just some random haunting. It's an invitation to go deeper. At the same time, Reena, remember her, the first victim? She's gone through her own transformation. Her terror has kind of hardened into this fierce determination to get answers. She finds Arvind, who is now a believer, and convinces him and a few others that they have to face this thing head on. The only way out is down. So, our little group gets ready to go down into the very heart of the haveli's darkness, hoping to finally uncover the truth that's been hiding in that cellar. They end up finding this rusted iron door, sort of hidden behind the main house. It makes this awful groaning sound as they heave it open, and this foul, ancient smell just rushes out. Taking a deep breath, they head down the stone steps, one by one, into the cold, damp dark. Down in the cellar, their flashlights catch something absolutely horrifying. Written on the wall, in what sure looks like dried blood, is a message. It says, "The Aha is my curse. Whoever hears it will meet their end." This is the crucial moment. This isn't just a haunting anymore. It's a full-blown curse. As they're staring at those words, this white, misty form starts to take shape in the corner of the room.
The air gets freezing cold, and then a voice fills the cellar, but it's not a whisper this time. It's the voice of Lolita, the original lady of the Haveli. And this is where we finally understand the why. The spirit tells them her incredibly tragic story. 100 years ago, her own greedy husband buried her alive right here, in this cellar, to steal her fortune. Nobody heard her screams. Her frantic footsteps pacing back and forth in the dark became an eternal echo, an echo that twisted and festered into the Ahat, a curse born from pure rage and despair.
Okay, so the mystery is finally solved, but the horror, that is far from over. Because knowing the truth doesn't mean you get to escape the curse.
The cellar walls start to shake, and the group scrambles to get out. Arvind comes up with what seems like a pretty logical plan: burn the Haveli to the ground. If they destroy Lolita's physical remains, which are buried somewhere beneath it, maybe, just maybe, her spirit can finally find peace and the curse will end.
So they set the whole mansion on fire. The entire village just watches as the source of all their fear turns into nothing but ash. And that night, for the first time in as long as anyone can remember, Bhairavpur is completely quiet. No whispers, no shadows, no footsteps. It really seems like they won. The fear was finally over.
But was the curse really broken? As it turns out, peace can be a very fragile and a very temporary thing.
A few days pass. Reena is in her room, trying to get back to some kind of normal life. All of a sudden, this cold breeze just blows through her window. And then, she hears it. It's faint at first, but it's unmistakable. That slow, deliberate sound of footsteps. And this time, it's coming from the corner of her own room. You see, they'd made a huge fatal miscalculation. They destroyed the house, but the curse was never really tied to the building. It was tied to the sound itself, to the Ahat. So the Haveli is gone, but the curse? It persists. And the fear is back. So what's the big takeaway from the haunting of Bhairavpur? It's a pretty chilling lesson, isn't it? Some horrors just can't be burned away. The Ahat wasn't a ghost stuck in a house. It was a curse attached to a sound. And once you hear it, it latches onto you, forever. The story teaches us that true fear isn't a place you can just run away from. It's an unseen shadow that follows you absolutely everywhere.